All right, so good afternoon, good morning, good evening if you're in Dubai. I believe we have somebody from Dubai. I'm Danny Rubin, and it's great to have you all here today, whether you're coming for your who's here for their first Rubin webinar? Who's a first timer today? Right, you can raise your hand or, okay, great. We always have some new folks and a lot of returning folks, which I love that people have come back several times. We always change the topic. So I'm Danny Rubin and our company is Rubin. And we are based in Virginia Beach, Virginia. And we provide online curriculum and resources for business communication skills for K through 12, for higher ed, as well as the workplace. And what we're doing today, of course, is LinkedIn and working on our LinkedIn profiles and helping all of us to become, here's the key word today. Keep this word in the back of your mind. We're going to learn how to be our most authentic self on LinkedIn. We are going to steer away from the corporate speak, the stilted language, the fancy business talk. We are getting away from that. We are going to let our guard down and show the world who we are on the inside, connect on a human level. That's what you're going to learn to do today. For your own profiles and for those of you who teach, to then share this message with your students at any level. Because the skills today, while they are related to LinkedIn, they're really skills you can apply to anything related to professional development. Resumes, cover letters, interviews, how we talk about ourselves will have an impact anywhere we take our message. So LinkedIn today, but it can go far beyond that. Very quickly, my background, and then I'm going to show you a funny slide. I think you'll appreciate, especially the folks who have been here before. So my background is a TV news reporter. I was a TV journalist for a CBS affiliate in Virginia. Then I went to Washington, D.C. I worked as a consultant producer for Meet the Press on NBC, the Sunday political roundtable show. And for the past 7 years, I have worked in public relations, helping companies with their own messaging. Graduate of the University of Virginia, undergrad, master's from the University of Maryland, College Park. And this is what's new for the folks who've been here before. People say, well, how did you get into television? Why did you want to go into journalism? Well, it was in my blood because my father was a TV news reporter for 16 years for the NBC affiliate in our market here in Norfolk, Virginia. So I grew up around television and in newsrooms and on the set, and just that was the world I understood. And I went into that early in my career, and it was a great part of my career. And I want to show you as a first slide, let me share my screen and share a slide. I used to tell people that my father looks like Ron Burgundy, okay? And I want to show you, if I can get my chat to show up, because I want to hear everybody. Give me 1 second to get the chat up. Sorry. Sometimes it's a little funky. There we go. Okay. I want to prove to you, I say to people, my dad was Ron Burgundy before Ron Burgundy. Let me show you this slide first. Okay, take a look. Take a hard look here. The top is my father in 1979. The bottom is Ron Burgundy. Look at these pictures. Look how shockingly similar these photos are. Credit to the set designers on Anchorman, because it is incredible how closely these pictures are to each other. So when I put this on Facebook for friends and people couldn't believe it, I said, he truly, Anchorman replicates the 1970s, 80s of local television, because this is what this was even before me. But I thought you'd find this funny, and it speaks to my roots in this field, this communications field. It's deeply rooted in television journalism, and I'm sharing these techniques with students. I just thought you'd all find that very funny, especially the new people who have heard my intro a few times. That, what more can I say? This truly is in my veins, and it dates back over 40 years now. So with that said, let's go through a couple other slides. Something else that I always want to offer to people, we've had free resources at every webinar. Today is no different. What I'd love to give to anybody interested today is a guide for LinkedIn communication. We're going to go through lessons today, and I have follow-up resources for yourself or for your students covering professional headlines, LinkedIn profile summaries, work experience sections, connection invites. in a Google folder you can use for yourself or for your class in the fall. And Mary Lynn already knows where I'm going with this. She's been here before. So you'll see in the bottom corner that students complete these exercises, they can earn their advanced email etiquette digital badge from Ruben, which they can share on their LinkedIn profile or on their resume to show they have completed these assignments and understand LinkedIn profiles. So if you would like that resource, some of you are already started, and that's great. Just type interested in the chat with your email address. For those who are new to our material, we always like to do a brief phone call so that you can understand our instruction, understand the Google folder we're going to pass along. And if you're an educator, please include your school. I know we have a lot of people with Gmail addresses in this one, and maybe some of you are outside of school time right now. So just put your school so we know where you're from if you are an educator. But please type interested in the chat. Just as we always do, we'll follow up in the coming days with brief conversations, passing this along, helping the cause. So just take your time, type interested. If you are an educator, include your school in case, so we know where you're coming from. And you can keep doing this as we go, but I wanted to start off with that. And I would also want to point out, because we always have a resource ready to go and we have a next webinar ready to go. And here's the next one for those in education. It's more tailored to education this time, as we try to be in the past. So mark this down. We're going to wait a few weeks this time, and we're getting into hybrid learning. I just asked many of you about hybrid learning. We're going to talk about the 5 best communication skill activities to start your year that involve hybrid learning, teaching some in the classroom and some at home when students are by themselves. We're going to run through several and give you those guides to start off your fall with confidence, since it's so new for everybody. It'll be Wednesday, July 8th, 12:30 Eastern. That's a Wednesday. And the link to register is coming soon. So look out for that soon, but I want you to mark it on your calendar that we're going to talk about hybrid learning as we get into July and head closer to the start of fall. All right. Now, what we're going to do today is we're going to first do a quick look over of our online platform to see the topics included. And then we're going to talk about these 5 topics related to LinkedIn. And we'll touch on headshots, and then we're going to do a deeper dive on these 5 topics: professional headlines for LinkedIn, profile summaries, work experience, connection invites, and networking messages. So that's where we're going today. Now, to get us there, let's hop over to our program. Hopefully everybody can see the screen that it says emerge. Can we all see that it says emerge here? Somebody say yes. So that, okay, great. So I've said this several times. For those who are new, I'll very briefly run through what our program is, and because we're teaching out of it today. So our program is called Emerge. And we call it that because we teach students how to go from being teens or young adults or 20 somethings into young professionals. And we help them make that turn with guides, examples, and practice. And to help us understand, for those of you who have seen these books before, used these books before, these 3 books are central to our curriculum. They're collections of templates, guides for writing and speaking skills, for employability, career development, entrepreneurship, and leadership, along with video, audio, and images to help students understand what's expected of them to communicate in the professional world. We have digital badges. As I mentioned, I just showed you the LinkedIn digital badge. And then we cover a variety of instructional modules, and we're going to draw from the LinkedIn one today. But we cover email etiquette. We teach students to write effective emails, life skills like engaging with new people, phone and video etiquette, heavy focus coming into the fall on video etiquette skills, video presentations, being a great audience member even. How do we communicate through video and phone and email when we have to be home a lot of the time? Those skills have never been more critical than right now, and that's a really big part of our material. We cover employability skills, networking emails, unforgettable resumes. Many of you have heard me talk before or been on our webinars, our storytelling cover letters. We're going to do a big push this year on telling stories of how we're fighting through challenges related to the pandemic even, how we're pursuing our education despite the odds. That's what employers need to know. Internship and job outreach information, emails, LinkedIn profiles, that's where we're going in just a minute. Job interview preparation techniques. For those of you involved in entrepreneurship education. We teach finding a business idea, sales writing, website content writing for writing about a mock business or a digital portfolio for an individual student. We teach public relations, like writing a press release, and fundraising, like Kickstarter pages and grant application writing skills. And finally, leadership, writing skills as a manager or team leader, writing skills to clients, project management correspondence to your own team, public speaking training, writing reports and summaries to your superiors about work you've done, and activities for student leaders. I know we have some student organization advisors here. I saw HOSA. What are some other student organizations represented here? DECA, student councils. Who else is in the room? And make sure you're selecting all panelists and attendees. So we also cater to students who are leaders in student organizations, high school and college, learning how to communicate effectively as they are the face of that group. So this is our program. And what we're doing today, as we've discussed, is going into LinkedIn. So let's hop into our LinkedIn lessons and let's dive into the material. Enough of the preamble. Let's get into the good stuff. And again, thank you, Terry. Virtual Enterprises is here. HOSA. Make sure it's all panelists and attendees when you're commenting so we can all see what's going on and everybody that's writing. Okay. So let's first talk briefly about the headshot. I want to touch on that. It was asked about. Just the quick answer. We need a professional looking photo, not a photo from our Facebook page, not a photo with someone else cropped on our shoulder. We need a professional photo of just us. You can take it from your phone. Lenses in phones today are really high quality. You can do a good photo from your phone, but it needs to be an intentional headshot, not a photo that's cropped from somewhere else in your life. And professional attire is critical. Ties, business professional clothing for that picture. Pictures tell 1,000 words. People will make assumptions based on the picture, right or wrong. They will. We're going to work through our words today, but the best advice I can give you on the headshot, keep it professional and get a feedback or opinion from somebody close to you. Does this look professional enough for my LinkedIn profile? That's where we start and end that conversation. Okay, let's get into the profile itself. We're going to go kind of top down through our profile. So we're going to start with that professional headline. And many times in our professional headline, we include or use our job title. Is there anything wrong with that? No. But is it interesting or exciting or engaging to read a list of job titles? Who thinks it's interesting to read a list of job titles? That's right. I don't see too many hands being raised in Zoom right now because it's not interesting. It's just job titles. And it doesn't really speak to who we are. Is that their job title? Yes. But is it who we are in here? No. So let's talk about making our professional headline underneath our name as dynamic as possible. So let's look at, here's a classic example. John Doe, project manager at Acme Corporation. Now, is there anything wrong with seeing this in a LinkedIn list of names? No. Is it inappropriate? No. Is it interesting? No. How do we make it interesting? Let's ask ourselves a question. All of us, ask yourself this question. What is your brand? Who are you? What is your professional brand, your professional image, what you're best at, what you're passionate about? Let's look inward. And as I said at the beginning, we're going to learn to be our most authentic self in a space where we think we need to be our most buttoned up. We're going to break down that wall today. So let's say that John Doe works in data analytics. What could his professional headline be? What if it was using data to make smarter decisions or powerful insights driven by data? Now, let me ask you by a show of hands, which one's more interesting? Project manager at Acme Corporation or using data to make smarter decisions? Who thinks the second one's more interesting? Yeah, a lot of hands. Number two, that's right. Of course it is. And it's more meaningful. It's more interesting. It's just better on every level. So let me ask you a question. Let's start right here. I want all these webinars to be as engaging as possible. I want you to go to the chat, all panelists and attendees, and I want you to think about what could your professional headline be? What's one short line? And Jennifer said it already starts to tell your story. That's right, in 4 seconds. So I want you to take a second and think, what could your short sentence, 6 to 8 words, not longer than that, what would yours be? Think about it and type it in. Let's share a few. Let's work this out together. Let's break down these structures, this formality. Nobody wants that. We think we do, but we don't want that. It's not real. It's not human. Who has a master of logistics? Ooh, I'm interested. Tell me more. Empowering learners in technology. Teaching children to become successful community members. Building success one student at a time. I can't even read them all. Helping students achieve their potential. Ooh, I love it. These are great. Make sure we keep it. I think the 6 to 8 words is a good middle ground because it won't get cut off in like a mobile version of LinkedIn. It's easy to absorb. Helping you tell your story, using visuals to tell impactful stories. These are great. People make snap judgments. People will judge you in 5 to 6 seconds. This is the best way to be judged. By the way you should be judged, by who you are. Nothing external, not basic bio information. Judge me on what's in here. I've said that in almost every webinar, and I hope that's getting through to you and then to your students. Judge me on who I am, not who you think I am. Love it. These are excellent examples. So the first step here after this webinar is to take what you've done, work it down, keep it short, less is more. Show it to friends and family. What do you think? Put it on your profile, save the page, see how it looks. This is your opportunity to jump off of a list. Never let somebody just gloss right over you. Just another person with another job title. That's not who you are. Don't let them think that. Let them think that about everybody else. Dedicated to student success. Oh, that's good. D, make sure everybody, all panelists and attendees, let us all see what you're doing. I'm going to keep you working today. All right. Okay. Hope we got that concept worked out a little bit. What does everybody think about that? Does it feel like a breath of fresh air a little bit? You can really let yourself go. Give me your quick take on this. How does it feel? Good. Because why should we hide behind fancy titles? Why should we hide behind a lot of muckety muck words, thesaurus words? Why? Says who? Who wants that? You don't want it. I don't want it. This is great. Susan Smith Harmon says, and again, Susan, make sure it goes to everybody. She says it's kind of scary. You know what? Embrace the fear, as they say. We need to be different. We need to break the mold. Everyone does the same thing everyone else does. Not in these webinars. We go our own way in these webinars. Dare great. Ooh, that's good. Dare greatly. Okay. I think we got that worked out a little bit. Take notes for yourself. Save what you're creating. And then move it to your LinkedIn profile when we're done. Let's go to the next topic. So we're going down the page. What's the next part of our LinkedIn profile? What comes after that piece of writing comes after our headline? What's next? What's the next block that we run into, which is the hardest thing to write? And LinkedIn gives no guidance for. That's right, it's the summary. LinkedIn says, here's a paragraph, a blank paragraph, talk about yourself to the world. And everybody goes, what do I do? We've seen it all, right? People write 9 paragraphs, people write nothing, people write a bulleted list. There's no order. What I'm going to give you today is an order, a structure, a template, as we always do, that you can use as a guide to, again, be your most authentic self. Let's hop over there. And I've talked about this on a previous webinar. For those of you who've heard it, it's a refresher. For those not, it'll be brand new. We have a 3-part model. At the end, you create a single paragraph, a tight paragraph that reads in 30 seconds, but it tells people everything they need to know about who you are and why you matter. So let's look at it. There are 3 steps. We'll talk about the 3 steps, then we'll look at a finished, fictitious profile, in this case for somebody who works in IT security. The first step is, who are you really? So again, we're not just gonna list off our job title. That's too flat. There's no dimension there. We're gonna talk about what impact do we make within that job right away. Then we're gonna talk about what do you do? We're gonna get into the details of our job, the details of our circumstances in that job, the role we play, the skills we possess. We've talked many times in these webinars, the value of details, specifics. That's what people respond to and respect. And then the third step is called bring them home. which is similar to the line you just worked on for your professional headline. It's gonna sort of expand a little bit into a longer sentence. It's as if to ask you, why do you wake up and do your job? Why do you work hard to make that impact? Why does it matter to you? Why do you even care? What is it all about? That is a question we are not expected to answer in LinkedIn, but is the most important question to answer in LinkedIn and a resume, on a job interview, virtual interview, phone interview, anywhere you're having to prove yourself. You have to understand your why. And we're going to work out our why together. So let's look at a full profile summary and talk about how it feels to us. The first section, who are you really? Every day I protect sensitive information on thousands of people from hackers and cyber attacks. Let me ask you, do you see the person's job title in this sentence? Is it there? No. Does that matter? No, not yet. What matters is the impact. I want you to always keep in mind, what matters is what you're doing for other people. Are you helping people? That's what counts. Lead with helping. The job title is secondary to the impact you make. Now, next section, what do you do? As an information security analyst at Acme Hospital System in Sacramento, I manage the day-to-day flow of information into and out of 5 hospitals and 2 emergency centers. With a focus on database management, my job ensures critical computer systems, medical files, and patient history remain active and never fail. My team and I stay updated on the latest trends in tech and information security to not only keep Acme Hospital Systems safe, but also on the cutting edge. I've showed this one once before. For the new folks, what do you see in here? Did you hear me or see any specifics, any concrete language, any details that stuck out to you? What are some details that stuck out to you? Type them in. What hit you? Industry vocab, flow of information. What else? What about some numbers? Did you hear me say some numbers? Action verbs, 5 hospitals, right? And for those who teach, I want you to take this lesson back to your students. Put the work in context. Explain the size and scope and importance of the work. It's quantitative, that's right. We're not saying I have a big job, I manage a lot of people, or I manage a lot of money, or I manage several buildings. How many buildings? What skills do you have? Database management, that is a key word. Somebody on LinkedIn might be searching for somebody in IT with database management experience. You want to come up in searches for keywords. Adjectives about how wonderful you are in your job, how dedicated, how hardworking. None of those words are going to come up in a search. Nobody's searching for dedicated in LinkedIn, but somebody's searching for database management. Do you understand the distinction there? And again, this is for students to know too. Nobody is searching for your adjectives. Everyone is searching for your skills. Put your skills in your profile, in your summary, in your work experience. Leave the adjectives out. They don't matter. They don't help. The specifics do. So this middle section is your chance to get them into your day. The skills, the scope of your work, the size of your work. This is your paragraph to share those details. Nothing else matters. The last section, bring them home. Similar to that professional headline, but it's a little bit longer. We can have a sentence here. A hospital never sleeps, and the same goes for IT. If everything runs smoothly and nothing suffers a glitch, then I know I did my job. Again, what is the focus of this line? It's making sure that what goes well, what runs smoothly? A hospital system, right? If the hospital system runs smoothly, then I did my job. My why, my bring it home, my what's it all for is my job is to keep that hospital running and doing so safely. That's my prerogative. That's my mission. Does anybody with a quick typing finger want to take a shot at their own? Bring them home. Well, let's take 30 seconds, see if somebody can share a rough draft of their own. And then we can move on to the next topic. But I'd love to see if anybody wants to quickly more formalize that professional headline and put their bring them home in a sentence. Take a few seconds and try. I know it's asking a lot of you to put a sentence like this together, and you can work it out later. But let's just see if we can share a couple before we move on from this, because the profile summary is critical. I'll give you a few more seconds. What's your why? What the heck is it all about? Now, if you work in education, it's never been more challenging than right now. Why are you sticking through it? The future of healthcare employees depends on education. I like that. If our students graduate in 4 years, then I did my job. Beautiful. I think a lot of people can appreciate that line. If students are inspired by the literature I presented, then I know I did my job. Love it. When students visit me the next school year and thank me for teaching them specific skills, I know I did my job. This is great. And it's yours. Understand, it's yours. Everybody's on LinkedIn throwing around adjectives: passionate, hardworking, motivated, team-oriented. It doesn't mean anything. This stuff is what means something. I live for the aha moment when my students understand. David, please share that with everybody. Change it to all panelists and attendees. These are excellent. If photos and videos educate, inspire, and trigger action, then I've done my job. These are, wow, fantastic. Keep them coming as I'm talking. Continue to share. And then again, take this and start to make it your own. Work it out after the webinar. But I hope you're starting to feel that this is as authentic as you can be. And I hope it feels like a little bit of a weight off your shoulders. You're not having to write the most perfectly scripted line that's ever been written on social media in the history of humankind. Like, don't worry about being perfect. Just tell us why you matter. That's what we need to know. And you wrote it in 15 seconds versus racing starting over with a perfectly crafted sentence. Nobody wants that. We want this. Wonderful work, everybody. Keep it coming if you'd like. Let's hop over to the next part. What comes after the profile summary? And there I go again, asking lots of questions. I can't stop. What comes after the profile summary? What's the next big chunk of information? Work experience. There we go. Let's talk about work experience quickly as we can. Make it relevant, make it simple. Here is, and it's basically like resume work experience, right? We're sort of repurposing our resume work experience and talking about ourselves and what we've done. So let's look at, let's say this person works at Acme Corporation, Austin, Texas, assistant manager. Manage warehouse facility and oversee DSD inventory process. Track incoming and outgoing shipments to ensure on-time delivery. Won company award in 2015 for best managed warehouse. Facilitate trainings for new hires, as well as continuing education for all other employees. Now, is there anything wrong with these bullet points? No. What am I going to ask you next? Are they interesting? Not really. They're okay. But are they getting people excited? Are they getting the employer picking up the phone to call them or email them? They're just facts. How can we make each of these bullets better? Let's go one by one. Okay. Manage warehouse, oversee DSD inventory process. First of all, there's a problem. Classic rule of communication, you never use an abbreviation until you first spell it out. Never assume that the reader has any idea what your abbreviations and your jargon and your industry mean. Never make that assumption. That's a fatal assumption. Let's look at that same bullet, just expanded. Manage 200,000 square foot warehouse facility in Detroit that stores home appliances like microwaves, refrigerators, and ovens. Oversee our direct shipping and delivery DSD inventory process, robotic technology that takes items into and out of the facility. Which bullet is more interesting? Sorry, one second. Which bullet is more interesting? This one or that one? Raise your hand if it's the second one. I mean, it's pretty clear, right? Hands down. Same person, same life, asking yourselves questions. How much? How big, right? How big is that facility? 200,000 square feet. What types of appliances? Microwaves, refrigerators, ovens. So now we're more specific, right? Much, much better. Still leads with an act. Yeah, Patricia, make sure everybody, all panelists and attendees. Yes, active verbs to start, just like a resume, but the details are much richer. Ask yourself these questions. How much? How many? Quiz yourself. Where are the details of my day? Next one. Track incoming and outgoing shipments to ensure on-time delivery. Okay, that's nice, but is it interesting? No. Let's make it better. In a given week, track 34,000 incoming and outgoing shipments to ensure on-time delivery, over 1.7 million shipments a year. I think right away you can see what we've done here. Again, this or that. You all have numbers. Listen carefully. Everyone has numbers. You don't work in finance. You don't need to have numbers just if you work in finance. You're teaching, you're overseeing, you're managing. There are numbers all over your world. Understand your numbers, bring them into your resume. I promise you, when I showed you this sentence, you looked at 34,000 first, right? That's the first thing you saw was 34,000. Am I correct? Your eye went right to 34,000. Numbers will draw the attention and prove and underscore your value. Next one. Won company award in 2015 for best managed warehouse. Well, that begs the question, if I'm the reader, how many warehouses did you compete against, right? Do you have 4 warehouses in the company? How big of an achievement is this? Let's try again. In 2015, competed against 93 coworkers at 26 warehouses to win company award for best managed warehouse. Now, which one sounds more impressive to you? That or that? Thank you for raising your hand. Of course. And again, these facts existed for this person too. We just don't think to share them on this level, but the deeper you go, the more impressive you are. Ask yourself, how many warehouses did I compete against? Otherwise, why, and to Rosanna's comment, it provides context. People need context. Don't make them assume anything. If the numbers are small and the context is small, then that's fine too. It's all about context, putting it in context. The numbers are what they are, but they still will prove your value. Last one, facilitate trainings for new hires as well as continuing education for all other employees. Let's try it again. What's missing? Type it in the chat. What's not there? What's not there? Here we go again. What's not there? Numbers. Facilitate trainings for about 130 new hires every year, as well as continuing education for 400 plus existing employees. So again, we've transformed these 4 bullet points in 5 minutes. Now they are completely different, but it's the same person. The experience was there all the time. It's just right below the surface. What I want everybody to come out of this today with is go beneath the surface with your LinkedIn profile. Don't just give them the same old that we see from other people's profiles. Forget about them. They don't know what they're doing. Everyone's guessing. Share the real details from your experiences. It's so much better. All right, I want to keep us moving as we head towards 1:04 Eastern Standard Time. Let's talk about, now we've made our profile, let's talk about LinkedIn invitations. At every phase with LinkedIn, how many people have, who are new to LinkedIn perhaps, how many people have sent off a LinkedIn invitation to connect with somebody else? Just raise your hand or say yes. Who has sent off an invitation before? So we know what that experience is like. And LinkedIn gives us, they sort of prompt us, they've gotten better over the years. They say, you should attach a message. Don't you all see that little button that says, attach a message if you'd like? But what do we say in that message? What's the strategy there? First of all, we should always send a message. Otherwise, I'm sure we've all gotten LinkedIn connections and we're like, who is this person? Why are you connecting with me? I don't want to connect with you. I don't know you. And I don't have, what's that word again? That context. I don't have any context about why you're contacting me. What is this about? Send a message. Or I'm not going to make you my LinkedIn connection. Goes both ways. Not only are we going to introduce ourselves, we're going to go one step further. And we're going to show that we understand relationship building skills right from the jump. So let's say you met somebody somewhere, you want to connect. It was great to meet you at, name the place where you met them. Be specific. We are proper noun focused in here all the time. Be on the ground. Where did you meet them? If you saw or read or heard the person, I enjoyed, for instance, your interview about children and nutrition on the radio. Be specific. You'll get a response. Thanks so much for listening to me. I love that you heard me. If you find the person's LinkedIn profile interesting, oh, here we go. And this gets into our final topic too on networking messages. I enjoyed reading about what you find notable. Your experience with 3D printing here in Milwaukee. Let's stay in touch. We showed we did our homework first. Or we can even ask a question about any of this. I have a question about 3D printing. You will get a response if they check LinkedIn, because you are directly asking them a question that's so, what's that word again? That A word? What was that A word I said at the beginning? And I keep saying it. Who can tell me what word I keep bringing up? It is so important. There, thank you, D. Authentic. We want our students to be authentic. We want to be authentic. No more fake in this world. Be real. Cut through the noise. So LinkedIn invites are an opportunity to show somebody right away that we are real. We're interested in a real, honest human exchange, not trying to pull a fast one or just send off invites all over the place. And then when they see our profile, it's authentic again. And whatever your reason for reaching out, you're going to make a great impression for a job, for an opportunity, for a connection, for your business, for your career. On every level, you're hitting them with being the most genuine person you can possibly be. And who can deny that kind of person? It's very tough. It's somebody you want to be around, get to know more versus less. Especially with our guard up today on social media, we're always wary of people being spammed, this and that. We want to cut that down immediately. So keep that in mind as you are sending your invites. Lastly, let's say that you need to send an actual LinkedIn message to somebody, a full-on message after the connection happens. They connect with you. And again, I'm showing you activities from our online curriculum where we guide students through these messages. We're showing them prompts and then giving them guidance to practice. So we're doing basically what students would be doing in our program. So let's look at the sample message you could send somebody after they accept your connection. And if you hadn't already done so, this is where you'd say, thanks for accepting my connection. I enjoyed learning more about your career, especially something you read on their LinkedIn profile. How you started your law firm's intellectual property division. Was it difficult to convince the firm to move into that space? Ask a question. Let somebody talk about all that they know. The quickest way to get somebody's time and attention is to let them show you how smart they are, not to ask them to do something for you. Please share that with your students. Ask for advice, not for favors. We've talked about that in other webinars before. And then we say, I'm not sure if you looked over my profile, but you'll see that in this case, I have my own efforts with legal issues in the tech sector. Here's an example of my work. Here's a web address. And then what are you asking for? What is this about? I'm in the job market. I'd like to pick your brain about opportunities. Would you have time for a phone call? I'm just seeing if you could help me understand this space. I want your advice. That's a message that you could send after they accept your invitation connection. That is showing that you're genuine, you did your homework, and you're putting this message in context quickly. Why am I writing you? Why do I need your assistance? What is this all about? So we're at 1:10 Eastern time. I'm gonna save a few minutes for questions. We have taken ourselves through the headshot, headline, summary, work experience, invites, and messages, all in about 30 minutes. How about that? We are moving fast. I hope I didn't run too far away from everybody and that you understood these lessons, and we will make a recording of this webinar so you can watch it again or please share it with students. What questions do you have about LinkedIn as we begin to wrap up? What other questions can I answer for everybody? And while we're wrapping up, I do want to reiterate what I mentioned before. which is that we have free LinkedIn profile guides for you to do yourself or to share with students this summer or fall on headlines, summaries, experience, and invites for free. All you have to do is type interested in the chat. If you missed this at the front, interested in the chat with your email address. And if you're an educator, include your school, that's helpful. Interested with your email address, include your school. It's a brief phone call to help you make sense of this content for your own use. So if you miss this on the front end, interested, your email address, and we will provide it in the coming days. I see some questions. Let me go back up a little bit. How much should I put in the area of volunteer activity? Good question. I would say base that on how much other information you can share about other jobs. If you're thin on jobs and heavy on volunteer, then lean on that. If you have a lot of paid work experience, just do a little bit of volunteer because that's sort of secondary at this point. So based on how much experience you have in all areas. How appropriate is a LinkedIn profile for high school students? If the school system, and we go through this a lot within our company, helping schools with LinkedIn, if a school system is comfortable letting students make LinkedIn profiles, I say let them do it, especially as juniors and seniors. Get them in the site early. Give them a head start before college or career. If there is an issue with getting on a LinkedIn profile for privacy concerns, they can still do these lessons, just do them in Microsoft Word or Google Docs and just create these writing assignments. And when they are able to use LinkedIn, they can take what they made and paste it in. Either way, they should do so. I know there's lots of questions. I'm trying to see. Let me go here. Yeah, for those of you, yeah, please put interested if you missed it, and we'll send you the LinkedIn profile exercises for the classroom or for the workplace or for yourself. Did I miss any questions here? What about students who are looking to change fields, professions? Well, good question. And we do have a guide on people who are transitioning into another role or they're currently out of a role. And the answer is, you'd say, this is what I'm passionate about. I'm looking to go into that field to make this impact. It's the same structure. Why does it matter? Why do you matter? What are your skills? It's the same idea. It's just now it's saying, I want to go into that space so I can make that impact that I hope to make next versus that I am making now. Greg Starr asks, how do you feel LinkedIn is for student leaders? I think it's great for student leaders. It would be such a leg up for students to already have a LinkedIn profile created while they're in a leadership position. It will help their standing in that group. It'll help in their portfolios as they go for next, for college opportunities, for instance. You can only help yourself if you do it, but it has to be a filled out profile with a actual photo there and filled in information. And I would say, if some of you are in education with students, you have business partners, have some business partners act like mentors, allow the students to send LinkedIn invitations to those people. So it's a safe back and forth. They're expecting it from the students. They can practice sending messages. They can practice starting conversations. Rely on your industry partners. Let them help you. Lots of questions. I'll only get to a few. I'm sorry. What if your profile and background is a certain kind, but you want to target management? You would say, my experience so far has prepared me for X, and I'm ready to move up to this. And here's why. And my bullets are going to underscore my numbers and my stats and my details. And you're going to prove you're ready for a leadership role or a next level up. I think some people are asking about changing careers. I just hit on that. What if you've been out of work due to injury? Yes, we talk about this in our program and in our resume unit. You should always speak to a time gap if there is a gap in your resume about why you were out of work. Again, you don't want to leave glaring questions that you're not sitting there next to the employer to answer. Speak to the gap, explain what it was, be transparent. It's going to come up eventually, and you'd rather not have any question marks or red flags that people are going to think about you, which may not have actually been true. You may have been out for an injury or an illness or caring for a relative, who knows what. Just be honest. Honesty is always the best policy. Let's see. Yeah, a lot of people are asking about career switching, and hopefully my advice before makes sense. I'm currently at an entry-level job looking to get into management, supply chain. Who should I ask questions to get advice? Oh boy, I mean, the world is your oyster. Tyler Turner asks, who do I talk to about getting advice? LinkedIn, it's an ocean of people. If you go to their profile, if you research who they are, write a message that shows you did your homework, you could start a conversation in an hour from now with somebody who didn't know you an hour ago, and they could lead to a conversation. Like, do your homework, show you care about somebody else first, and watch those messages get returned. Let's see, I'm going through these. Again, I kept it on the screen. If you're interested in the LinkedIn resources, you haven't done so yet, please let us know. I'm gonna get maybe one or two more questions and we can start to wrap things up. How do you make your profile interesting if you are a college age or recent grad, don't yet have tons of professional experience? Okay, Stacy K asked this and everybody else couldn't see, but let me go here. The students often say, well, I haven't done anything great yet. I'm just a student. Let me give you an example. I did this session with a college class in South Dakota, and one of the students said, I said, what are some of the jobs you've had? And he said, I sold cars one summer. And I said, well, you could put that on your resume as a job. He's like, oh, I can? I said, yeah, but let's go one step further. How many cars did you sell that summer? And I forget the number, but when we added up the average value of the car times the number of cars, he sold about $5 million worth of cars that summer. Is it was it a job he's going to do forever? It was more like a summer job, but he sold $5 million worth of cars. So to any student watching this who says, or young adult who says, I haven't done anything yet, I don't have any big numbers. Yes, you do. Find the numbers in your circumstances, even if they're not 5 million, even if you did a fundraiser and raised 5,000, that's still fantastic. Include that. Stand with the numbers that you possess right now. Own your story today. Don't worry about tomorrow. Own today. That's all people will judge you on, but they have to know what you've already achieved. Any other questions here? Yes, I will have more presentations. Oh, let me say one more thing before we hop out. Please remember, for the educators who are thinking about the fall, we're going to do a deep dive on hybrid learning, teaching communication skills through hybrid learning, where we are in the school building and also learning virtually. July 8th, 12:30 p.m. Eastern. The link to come out will come with the recording of this webinar, and we'll put it out in the coming days. We'll skip over July 4th, and we'll do it again in about 3 weeks' time. I thank everybody for being here. I know we're a little bit over, but there was so many questions. I wanted to hit them. Let me hop back here to the screen. Again, thank you again. Please reach out with any follow-up questions. If you requested information and you're new to our community, we will be sending you a Google invitation for a 5-minute phone call in the coming days. So please look out for that. Accept it or suggest a different time. Love having everybody here today, and stay in touch as we head into the holidays. Stay safe out there in America, in Dubai, in the UK, wherever you are. This virus is everywhere. Stay safe, and we'll see you on July 8th. Thank you, everybody.